Welcome to this Nano on getting things done. This training is an attempt to distill all of the getting things done productivity principles down to one core skill. And that core skill is called Go SNA. Before I talk about that skill, let me talk about the feeling you get when you see an empty inbox. This white space is very liberating for your mind, and it makes it such that you're ready to engage fully on the next task at hand. There's no feeling like it. Sometimes it's referred to as mind like water, where you're in that peak productivity state. When people are asked about what gets in their way of being as productive as they'd like to be, typically the number one answer is, I don't have enough time. This isn't the best way to look at the problem because time is something that you can't create more of. We all have the same amount of time. So, a more appropriate approach at productivity is this core skill called Go SNA. The GO stands for goal and outcome. In other words, picture wild success very quickly in real time. What does success look like? See yourself doing it, and then what is your goal to get that done? Once that's clear in your mind, you then come up with the next action you need to do, the most strategic action you can do to get you closer to achieving that goal. You don't have to lay out the whole project plan, just what's the next thing you could do that'll give you the most bang for your buck. Let's look at a couple of examples here. Before we do, let me just talk about what gets in our way of being productive. And it's really called the whirlwind, and it's the whirlwind that is our life. As many goals as you may have, you'll find that you're quickly swept away in everything that comes up that's out of your control. Go SNA, if you can apply that skill in real time, you'll find over time that you're harnessing the power of this whirlwind, but now it's more in your control as opposed to feeling like you're out of control. Let's try this skill out on a couple of examples. Let's say your fridge light is burnt out. Go SNA. What is wild success? Success in this case is that your fridge has a new light bulb in it. So what is the strategic next action? Many people say, go get a light bulb from Home Depot. That's not necessarily the best next action. Imagine yourself standing at Home Depot, looking at shelves upon shelves of fridge lights, not knowing which one yours is. A more appropriate action would be to take the light out of the fridge, put it by the front door, and then when you go to your car, you take the light bulb with you, put it in the glove compartment. And then when you're out doing errands and you stop at Home Depot, you can take the light bulb with you, and now you'll have no doubt you have the right one because you're holding it in your hand. Let's look at another example. You need to borrow your neighbor's ladder. Go SNA. The wild success is that the ladder is sitting in your garage. What is the strategic next action? It's to call your neighbor to ask if you can borrow the ladder. Let's say that you're having this thought at 2 in the morning. You don't want to call your neighbor at 2 in the morning. The strategic next action is to put a task in your calendar to call your neighbor at a reasonable time. Let's look at a third example. You get an email from a peer asking you to come to the UK, and this is right in the middle of a travel embargo by your company. What Go SNA? What's the successful outcome? The successful outcome is that you see yourself in the UK delivering that business value. What's the strategic next action? You need to know if your boss supports it and will approve it, and if the VP of the region supports it and will approve it. There's really no use doing anything else until you know if you have that approval. So in these examples, here are the SNAs. In the first case, H stands for home. That's the context you need to be in. Take the bulb, put it by the front door. R stands for errand. It doesn't start with E. We're using R because E is reserved for something else, which we'll see in a few minutes. When you're doing an errand, stop at Home Depot, take in the bulb. There's the SNA. What's the SNA on the ladder? It's E. E stands for computer, where you have to do something that's easy. Put in your calendar a task to call your neighbor. On the last item, E, again, for something you have to do on your computer, is forward that note from your peer to your boss. In this case, my boss's initials are RM. CC Tess, who happens to be the VP in the region, to invite them to weigh in on whether they would support going to the UK or not. There are the strategic next actions in a nutshell related to these tasks. Probably the most important component of a strategic next action is the context. The context you need to be in to be able to execute the action. R is for errand. P is where you need to be face to face with someone who you need information from. CAL is putting a task in calendar. E is online or computer work that's easy. C is computer work where you might need an application such as PowerPoint. WTG is waiting for someone. You can't execute a task until you get some information from someone. S is there's no time frame. You'll do it someday. And F is information you need to file. In summary, you should do a core dump out of your mind, put everything that's rolling around in your mind on paper. Then, when you're in that mind like water state, go SNA each item. Process it when it shows up, not when it blows up. Utilize your context. 95% of the time, when you're in a position to think about something, you're not in a position to do. And the corollary of that is when you're in a position to do, you don't really have time to stop and think. So make sure you go SNA in real time and you'll become extremely productive. Thank you.